We're looking at Homer Laughlin toiletware shapes that were made in the 1800s. These are shapes that were made at Homer Laughlin while Homer Laughlin was still with his company. And we did a similar video in dinnerware where we looked at Victor, Shakespeare, Chelsea, Louis XVI, and Rococo, so this is going to be the toiletware version of that. We're going to start with the Victor shape, which is the early 1880s. Now, last time I looked at the commonants, and this is the Victor shape commonant. But I forgot in the previous video to show the marking. So I'm going to do that very quickly and then we'll move on with the Victor shape. And here it is. And it says Premium Stone China, Homer Laughlin, patented September 20th, 1881. And I just wanted to point that out because the previous video we looked at the patent drawings with that date, September 20th, 1881. So it's one of the very few cases where you see an explicit date given like that in a marking. So again, that's the commonant. If you want to know more about that, you have to look at the previous video. We've already gone over commonants enough, I think, for now. Victor, and there's a line of corresponding dinnerware with this, has these distinctive handles. This large ewer is in pretty bad shape, but I wanted to show it because it has a really nice treatment on the front. And you will see these framed scenes on other pieces, mainly the Shakespeare dinnerware sets. This particular one has a fishing scene, but it's a rather nice monochromatic print. You can also find them in different colors. And then we've got a Victor soap dish. I think we've looked at this before when we were looking at the Victor shape in general. And it's got the Premium Stone China marking. Rectangular soap dish. Usually your soap dishes are going to be round, but not in Victor. And then we've got a really nice Victor brush face. And we'll look at the marking. It's pretty smudged. But it says, let's see if we can make that out, Premium Stone China, Homer Laughlin, patent applied for. The next shape comes from roughly 1885, and it's Etruscan. And I don't have any to show you, because Etruscan it has to be the most difficult toiletware shape. I'll go a step further and say it's the most difficult Homer Laughlin shape period to find. I've only seen it in photographs. I've yet to see a piece in person. Your experiences may be different, but for me, this is the most difficult. And this is an advertisement that runs from 1886, and it's Homer Laughlin Premium Stone China Etruscan toilet set. And we've got these unusual little feet at the bottom of each piece. Rather strange design. We've got the soap dish, the shaving mug, the mouth ewer, the brush vase, the chamber pot. Here's another one from 1885. And at the bottom we see the large ewer and basin and the slop pail. I don't know if we can make this out at the bottom. Here I show you something new in toilet sets. I have it now in various decorations as well as in plain white. If you like it and desire to have it, please send your order early to avoid delays. Very respectfully, Homer Laughlin. And we have another advertisement from 1886. Again, we have Etruscan toiletware, some Shakespeare dinnerware, and the Victor commonant. So I wish I had some to show you, but for now these advertisements are going to have to do. Very, very difficult to find this Etruscan. Again, maybe you've got some, but for me it's near impossible to find. Well, it is impossible to find right now. Moving on to Denver, which is about 1887. Rather plain shape. We've got some ribbing going on the bottom in its design, and some embossing, little curlicues at the spout. And we'll look at the large ewer. It has sharper embossing. And we have a brush face with an underglaze iris print and gold trim. We'll look at the marking on this one. And Premium Stone China. Homer Laughlin. Typical marking for the 1880s. Our Etruscan is probably going to be marked the same way, since in the advertisement it says Homer Laughlin manufacturers of Premium Stone China. And then the next one is Lenox, which is one of my favorites. It's got really nice detailing on the embossing. This this feather and plume type embossing. We have ribbing on the bottom similar to what we saw in Denver. We have a brush vase. Not a very good strike on this one. The embossing is pretty weak. Again, premium stone china for the marking. And of course the largeur. We're starting to see tinted bodies by this time. Lenox comes around 1890. And then we've got a Lenox chamber pot. And this decoration is the same as what was used on the Denver largeur, but because everything was filled in by hand, and when I say that, because you're going to hear me say that quite a bit, an underglazed print with filled in details, they would put the print on there and then somebody would have to come in and fill in the details by hand, so you get all these variations going on. So they're not identical like they would be with decal treatments. We'll put those back. I think we already looked at the back, so we'll look at it again if necessary. Premium stone china, Homer Laughlin. Because once we get to the next one, the premium stone china markings start to disappear. When we get to Nenita in 1893, and during the same time you would be looking at a line like Louis XVI, you start to see the more signature-like mark, which is the eagle over a lion with Laughlin underneath. So we no longer see the premium stone china. The wares are getting more delicate and thinner as opposed to this clunkier, heavier stoneware. Now Nanita was named after Homer Laughlin's daughter, Nanita Laughlin, who died very, very young. I've got a little notice here, and it says Nanita Laughlin, daughter of Homer and Cornelia B. Laughlin. She died of brain fever. I had to look that up to see what that was, and it said encephalitis or swelling of the brain. She died Sunday morning at 5:30, November 15th, 1891, 8 years, 10 months, and 4 days. And this is a photograph of her grave marker at Riverview Cemetery in East Liverpool. Nanita Laughlin, born January 11th, 1883, died November 15th, 1891. So shortly thereafter, Homer Laughlin names the new toiletware set Nanita in her memory. In the back we have pattern number 1101 with blue tint. Again, underglazed prints with filled in details. And if we get a close-up, you can sort of see the variations. And this would have been very hard to do. You would have to be very skilled. If you're getting paid by the piece, you have to be able to fill this stuff in quickly and accurately. You couldn't be sloppy with this. I just wanted to point that out. Again, you're going to see all these variations from one to the next. The colors are deeper in some or lighter in others. Or the colors might not be identical. That's to be expected with treatments like this. And then we have another Nanita brush vase here. Again, there's that eagle in line with the signature mark. So two brush vases, moutheur and largeur. The last shape we'll look at is Florentine, which comes from around 1894. This would have been introduced around the same time as the Rococo shape. Very ornate. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here, but there's all this ornate scroll work on the embossing around the neck of this slop jar. And it has an unusual feature. It's got the little man, his head, in the handles and finials. Let's see if we can look at the moutheur. There he is. So there's your slop jar, and then we have a moutheur. We're seeing full-bodied tints now, and you'll find pink versions as well. So you got blue, pink, and yellow. You may find other colors, but those are the only three I've seen thus far. Again, lots of filled-in details going on with the prints on this piece. You can see the dark reds and the light pinks and the yellows. In fact, this is a pretty good one where you see they didn't get all the entire flower. So again, you'd have to be pretty quick and as accurate as possible, you know, if you're getting paid piecemeal. This is treatment number 1231. Again, moutheurs usually have your treatment numbers on them. And that was listed as floral scroll. You'll also find this treatment on the Superba shape, which we'll look at in the next video. So that's Florentine. So again, we've got Victor Etruscan, which we only have the ads. And then Denver, with its little ribbing at the bottom. Lenox, with its very detailed embossing. Nenita, and Florentine, with the little man and the handles and finials. Oh, I think we've got a full set here we can look at. So there's your large ewer and basin, your brush face, your shaving mug, your slop jar, covered soap dish, covered chamber pot, and the mouth ewer. Now, one thing I want to talk about before wrapping this up is that when it comes to toiletware, well, there's a couple things I need to mention. First of all, I've showed you some of these back stamps. Homer Laughlin did not use any shape names in the back stamps when it comes to toiletware. Dinnerware, that may be different. But for toiletware, they will always have Homer Laughlin markings, whether it be the older premium stone china, or the signature mark, or the more generic marking that we're going to look at here in a couple videos in the future. But, and I want to say that, because I'm sure I will repeat it if I haven't already, is that other potteries did use shape names. So you will see things like Yale and Harvard or California or Missouri or Phoenix or all these others. So you'll see these shape names but with nothing else. No mention of the pottery, no mention made in USA. And it's somewhat important because Homer Laughlin made the Wyoming shape, which we will look at soon. And there are Wyoming back stamps out there made by other potteries for their toiletware. So that has nothing to do with Homer Laughlin. So just something to keep in mind when it comes to toiletware. None of them have their shape names in them. Now, the second thing I want to mention is that when it comes to toiletware, we have a lot of unknowns and undiscovered things going on. When we talk about Homer Laughlin dinnerware or kitchenware or hotelware, even art china, we have a pretty good handle on it and a pretty good understanding. Now, there are always going to be things that pop up that challenge us or new discoveries, but when it comes to toiletware, there are blatant unknowns. What is the Savoy shape? What is the Dolly Madison shape? I mean, these are things that we know exist, that they've been found in invoices and order forms and such, but we just don't know what they are. They've not been discovered as of yet. We don't have the catalogs or any trade journals or any other advertisements to show us what they are. And then we have this shape, which is a little bit of a mystery. Hold on. This is this ring of roses with this green tint and gold stipple. This is marked with the eagle and lion signature marking. We have another version back here with blue tint and gold stipple. Again, eagle and lion. Is this the Dolly Madison shape? Is this the Savoy shape? This comes from around 1900, and we know this simply because this particular treatment was used on Superba and Mingo, which is around the same time period. So I want to point this out real quick, because this is where it gets really complicated. This is D.F. Haynes. So there was a pottery called Haynes and Bolt, I believe it was called. And this is their toilet set, Torquay. Here it is, T-O-R-Q-U-A-Y. It's pronounced Torquay. And it's virtually identical to Homer Laughlin that you see here. The only major difference between this and the Homer Laughlin version is in the handle. We've got this little dragon pointing upwards. On the Torquay set, it points the opposite direction. It actually points downwards. But it's interesting, this printout, it comes from a trade journal. And it says at the top, "To all whom it may concern, please note the Torquay toilet set shown without decoration in the printed annexed," which is this down here, "was designed by D.F. Haynes, and the letters patent for the design were granted to him on June 19, 1900. The design is now controlled by D.F. Haynes and Son. The Wick China Company, having made an exact copy of the Torquay toilet set in the United States," let me start over there. "The Wick China Company, having made an exact copy of the Torquay toilet set, the United States Court at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was asked to protect the patentee of the design and stop the manufacture and sale by the Wick China Company of their copy of the Torquay toilet set." So Wick China, there were several potteries that made wares for them. We know that the Knowles Taylor Knowles Company made wares for them. So is this a piece that was made by Homer Laughlin for Wick China that is a copy of Torquay, or is this something all on its own? So, yeah, this is a little bit of a mystery that I've never been able to solve. Again, when you get into toiletware, if you're not into it, expect these kinds of challenges that you don't normally face with dinnerware or art china or kitchenware. Again, you're always going to find these new discoveries that are surprising. But when it comes to toiletware, there's just some things we don't know, not yet at least. So that's it for now. Next time we're going to look at some toiletware from the late 1890s and early 1900s.